Okay, this is my favorite topic. It's not only a climate solution, but it's exciting to think that one of these days we'll be going around with clothing that can cool and heat us when and as required, and also maybe have a little microchip that just kills all the microbes that clothes collect when we wear them, and then make them smell nice and fresh without having to, go to the laundry or use a washing machine or wash by hands and dry them and so on and so forth. So this is a concept that just got reported in Science in August 2025. So I'm recording this 3 weeks later. Sustainable personal cooling in a warming world. Advanced textiles and intelligent wearable devices can provide cooling under extreme heat. Obviously, it's exciting because that means energy is being generated locally. There's always the life cycle issues you have to worry about in terms of carbon neutrality and so on. And we are raising a lot of issues about how warming will require more and more air conditioning, and people say, oh, tropics are going to heat up, warm up, and more people are going to buy air conditioners. So that will be bad and positive feedback to global warming. But honestly, if we will need more air conditioning, then we have to think about how to make air conditioners carbon neutral and not worry about air conditioners being a problem, right? So these kind of solutions always excite me. Cooling is achieved with 4 primary mechanisms. I'm jumping ahead. There is some introductory material about how heat waves are increasing and mortality is increasing and so on. Cooling is achieved with 4 primary mechanisms: radiation, conduction, convection, and evaporation. Conduction requires physical vibration of molecules to transfer heat or temperature gradients, basically. Radiation is obviously where you have energy coming in, and you can radiate out energy as well from the body. And there is convection, which means air parcels literally take the energy away, and evaporation, so you sweat, and sweat is evaporated, and that cools the body as well, right? Natural personal cooling processes such as sweating rely on evaporative mechanisms. For example, as water evaporates from the skin, it takes heat away from the body and lowers the body temperature. Remember, we have a temperature of the body that's maintained approximately by, at least internally, but externally we feel hot or cold, and body radiates energy. It's thermal energy, infrared energy, just like Earth's energy going to space. We cannot see it, but many species have evolved to see infrared, especially at night and so on. Okay, that's part of the energy balance mechanism as well. By contrast, engineered materials manipulate radiation, conduction, and convection to control temperature. That's what generally the engineering approaches are to cooling buildings, individuals, and so on. Fan or AC or hand fan, whatever it is. Right? You can also put a wet towel on your neck and cool down, right? Spectrum selective materials regulate, jumping again ahead, spectrum selective materials regulate transmission, reflection, and absorption of electromagnetic radiation such as light and heat at specific wavelengths. So infrared I mentioned because you have to get rid of heat at all the wavelengths at which it's being produced. These textiles can block radiative heat from the external environment while dissipating the body heat effectively. So if you want to cool, you don't want to trap your body heat with clothing, and you want to also prevent external heat from coming in. For example, a nanoporous polyethylene textile that is transparent to mid-infrared radiation emitted by the human body, which is in the 7 to 14 micrometer range, can effectively cool artificial skin by 2 degrees C more as compared with cotton. So experiments are done with artificial skins. A multi-layered metafabric, which is an engineered textile for regulating spectral properties, can scatter and reflect solar radiation across a broad spectrum that spans from ultraviolet to near infrared wavelengths, so 0.3 to 2.5 micrometers, by using randomly dispersed particles with optimized size and refractive index. So, these are the details that matter in the actual design that ultimately can be mass produced, let's say. These textiles radiate heat within the atmospheric transparent window, a range of wavelengths 8 to 13 micrometers that can escape the atmosphere to the cold outer space, which acts as a giant heat sink. Of course, there are a lot of details. Not everything just escapes. There are, various physical barriers. Let's say if you're sitting within a building, then that energy cannot get out. But in general, that's the window in which the atmosphere allows thermal energy to go out, and you can make sure that you are emitting in that range as well to maximize energy loss from the Earth, which, imagine 7-8 billion people running around, 9 billion I think we are now. How many billions are we now? Let's check. I think it's 9. Okay, let me check and confirm at the end. So these textiles radiate heat within the atmospheric transparent window, a range of wavelength 8 to 13 micrometers that can escape the atmosphere to the cold outer space. However, they can absorb urban heat across a broad spectrum of 2.5 to 20 micrometer, which is emitted from the ground and nearby buildings. Can create urban heat island, typically discussed as additional impacts of urbanization. A hierarchical fabric has been developed to emit mid-infrared radiation from the body while selectively minimizing urban heat absorption. Although these advances are promising, radiative cooling is limited by environmental factors such as moisture and pollution, which can disrupt radiation pathways and retain heat. Furthermore, radiant heat transfer, which is governed by the Stefan Boltzmann law, sigma T to the fourth, where T is, let's say, the temperature of the emitting surface. This increases exponentially with temperature because it's T to the fourth. Thus, radiative cooling requires a sufficient temperature difference between the body and the environment, which is often limited in indoor settings. Integrating other mechanisms such as convection and evaporation could enhance the cooling performance in practical conditions. So everything has been thought of, but practical limitations are yet to be tested out completely. Conventional personal cooling technologies perform well under static conditions, but often encounter challenges in dynamic environments. So you have to also think about not just a person sitting or artificial skin sitting on a table, but you have to do actual real life situations. Developing responsive textiles and adaptive wearable devices is key to addressing this issue. Wearable, not a wearable. Indians have trouble with V and W. I do. The ability to autonomously regulate fiber diameter and shape, porosity and thickness, and thermal properties such as conductivity, emissivity, and reflectivity in response to temperature and humidity changes or through external stimuli such as electrical field is highly desired. So we'll look at a schematic in a minute. These functionalities could bring new cooling strategies such as mode selective thermoregulation that modulates the predominant cooling mechanisms under specific temperature and humidity ranges. For example, evaporative cooling is more efficient in low humidity and high temperature environments, whereas convective cooling is more favorable under high humidity conditions. Okay, convective cooling is where there is a circulation, and you can imagine atmospheric convection where rising air expands, cools, and drives more convergence. So you have a circulation, or you have a radiator in the room where the heating or cooling happens, or even an AC. Cool air comes in and it's heavier, let's say it sinks and then pushes warm air up, and then you set up a circulation, convection. The ability to autonomously regulate fiber diameter, etc., that we mentioned, these functionalities could bring new cooling strategies such as mode selective thermoregulation that we already mentioned. For example, evaporative cooling is more efficient in one condition and convective cooling in another condition in terms of humidity and temperature. Additionally, the concept of diode like heat transfer, heat can exit but cannot enter, could bring efficient directed thermoregulation in harsh environments with extreme temperatures. So they are thinking about many issues. So let's just jump ahead, because they also mention how AI can help and can be optimized to determine the flip on and off of the heating or cooling mechanism. But certain challenges need to be addressed to enable widespread adoption of robust, sustainable personal cooling technologies, integrating different cooling mechanisms and approaches across disciplines such as textile engineering, artificial intelligence, thermodynamics, flexible electronics, and material science remain to be improved. Standardized metrics including cooling power, coefficients of performance, efficiency of cooling relative to energy used as a performance index, or acceptance of end users by the end users, and user-specific indicators such as thermal sensation, body temperature, and metabolic rates must be widely established. So obviously there's a long list of issues in transitioning it to a real solution, scalable solution. Personal cooling technologies not only transform daily life but also address critical needs in extreme environments. For example, construction workers, agricultural laborers, and firefighters are constantly exposed to intense heat, for which efficient cooling solutions are essential to prevent heat stroke and maintain safety and productivity. We don't want to mention this, but soldiers also face fairly serious adverse conditions of heat and cold that need to be dealt with. Likewise, outdoor enthusiasts benefit from smart wearable devices such as chest straps or active cooling vests equipped with biosensors and adaptive thermoregulation technologies to intelligently regulate body temperature. Sustainable personal cooling systems provide more than just comfort. They enhance the health and performance of humans under a rapidly changing climate, which is the obligatory statement now we have to make. But honestly, just reducing energy consumption for the hell of it will be great as well. So here is a schematic. Wear smart, stay cool. Traditional wearables struggle to release heat and moisture efficiently. These fabrics quickly become drenched in sweat under extreme heat. Integrating advanced textiles with hierarchical structures and smart wearable devices could provide sustainable cooling of the body. So we are still conceptualizing in many ways. These engineered materials can self-regulate heat and discharge These engineered materials can self-regulate heat and discharge sweat by dynamically responding to the changes in the atmospheric temperature and humidity. Okay, so mode of conduction, convection, radiation can be used efficiently in combination. So here is the traditional wear. This is the environment, and there is the evaporative loss with textile, depending on whether it's cotton, linen, polyester, various other things. And here is the skin. Sweat is being formed if it's heat, so heat is coming in, body is trying to lose it, but you trap moisture, and you can depending on the weave, you can affect the loss of heat, right? Whereas in a sustainable cooling wear, intelligent thermoregulating textile is used instead of just the regular textile that is typically used now. I'm wearing cotton, but I often wear lycos and so on. Loose weave here instead of the tight weave, which is done, for durability and other issues. So here now you have loss allowed, it's allowing much more of the sweat to be evaporated out because of the fabric, and heat is reduced from coming in as opposed to here. Much more heat is going out than here. So essentially you are achieving degrees of cooling using combination of wearables, textiles, and AI. to control the flow of energy. Okay, so it's cute. I like these because they are real solutions that are being worked on and hopefully will soon become practical and scalable. Okay, let's leave it here.